I think the lighting is better in here. You can see our really wonderful Minecraft curtains, and I actually have a window in here, so the window's over in this area, but I think the lighting looks a lot better. I'm actually sitting like on my kids' like little stuffy area, so I have plenty of plushies nearby, and I have my Mountain Dew Code Red Snuggie on my lap. So I think I like this area. I might use this one for a while. I am still getting my upstairs room. I have a room up there that I could also use, but I just have to get it a little bit more organized. We've been using it for a lot of storage, and right now we're doing a very late spring cleaning. So we've been going through a lot of our old stuff up there and getting rid of a whole bunch of it, donating stuff and throwing away stuff that we can't use. If you hear random sounds, it's probably B working upstairs right now. I can hear him like drilling things and like hammering stuff. So he is working on the far side room, and then we'll work on the smaller room afterward to get that room up and going for me to use. So that'll be nice. It should be done hopefully fairly soon, but it just kind of depends on how much he has left to do on the other room. We're pretty bad about like hoarding stuff. Sometimes we think like, oh, we're gonna keep this thing and then we're going to try to renovate it or fix it, or we're going to use this for an art project or some other kind of craft, and then we wind up with just a whole bunch of random crap everywhere. I do the same thing with clothes. Oh, I won't throw this away. I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna cut this picture off of it and I'm gonna put it on something different, and then it just goes in the pile. Also, my hair is an absolute disaster today because I was working in a very hot warehouse. So I put a hat on so you don't see how horrible it is, but the warehouse is so hot and humid. And so when I was working back there, it got really bad, and my roots are starting to show. It's summer, so my hair lady, she's been really busy, and so it's harder to get an appointment. So I told her it's okay, just push it out a little bit longer. So I look a little bit crazy, but that's okay. I think I mentioned before, I'm going to be pretty real in these with how I actually look. And I usually don't wear makeup, and I usually look like this. So that's what I'm going to look like most of the time. But that was my little intro spiel. And I'm going to mostly talk about some dolls today and what those kind of dolls mean to me. Most people know that follow me are going to know that I'm pretty big into dolls. I've always been into dolls since I was a little girl. I didn't get my first doll until I was in kindergarten. My mom didn't believe in giving small children dolls because they don't know how to take care of them, especially when they have real hair. So she didn't give me my first Barbie until I was in kindergarten. And the Barbies that I got at that time were all hand-me-downs from when she was a little girl. So all my old Barbies were really, really old Barbies that were already in pretty beat-up condition. And I still loved those Barbies. We had the old, like, 70s looking camper that was orange. If I ever see pictures of them online, maybe I'll put them in an Instagram post or something. But yeah, we had this old camper, and I think there was an old pink car that she had, and then we had a whole bunch of the really old dolls that were all in horrible condition. I'm talking like the Barbies way back when their faces would turn green because of the material they were made out of. I can't remember what the name of that specific Barbie is. Maybe Giggle would know and she could say. I just remember they came with these really mint green swimsuits, which could have been discolored because, like I said, these were from when my mom was a kid. And I just remember we had just a couple Barbies, and then when we showed her we could take care of the ones she gave us, she was starting to buy us more Barbies at that time. So my sister and I were able to play with them. And growing up, we had a ton of Barbies, quite a few. And we had not very many sets, but we had quite a few Barbies. Most of them we either got at holidays, or every so often we would get one like at a secondhand place. And we would be able to like have these big cities, in the living room downstairs. It was like an unfinished basement, so I don't know if that counts. Or we would do it in my sister's room. And we'd have little like cities. They didn't have their own houses. It was just where they were. And we would reenact these crazy sequences with normal girl things. We would have the person that was murdering people in the town, and then you have to take them to the town and burn them at the stake, and crazy stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. But we would even reenact movies we liked. So if we would reenact Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, whatever was big when we were kids, we would reenact it with all the words with the dolls. Now, when I got into high school was when they started making Monster High dolls. And I think I was late high school or early college-ish. I can't remember when they started, but I remember seeing them. I'm pretty sure I was in high school, and I asked my mom for one, but at that time, she was like, you don't need dolls because you're grown now, and you're too old to be playing with dolls anymore. And so I kind of let go of the idea of ever being able to collect Monster High. I was really bummed because I thought I missed out. I really wanted those. I'd been an emo kid since I was 10 years old, so I really wanted those dolls. And of course, I didn't have money back then, so I couldn't just buy them. And when I did have money, usually I was trying to buy alternative clothes because those are also expensive. So I focused on buying, cool Vans or Converse or, the trip pants and all that stuff. So when I got to college and I finally started getting my own money, I started buying my first Monster High dolls. And that kind of kickstarted me back into getting into the doll hobby. So I had a lot of my Monster High dolls at first, and then I started seeing people that were repainting Monster High dolls. So me and a girl that was in my D&D group back in the day started getting Monster High dolls and then trying to repaint them. So we'd watch a lot of videos. We got our pastels out. We got our, we couldn't find Mr. Super Clear, so it was a different sealant. And we tried taking the faces off of Monster High dolls and then painting them on ourselves, which actually went okay. I would say all of our dolls turned out okay. I still have some of mine. Some I did with pastels, some I did with paint. I wasn't great, so you can kind of see all of the horrible lines and everything in them. If I go get them sometime, I think they're upstairs somewhere. I can show them off, but they were not very not very appealing looking, but they weren't horrible. I can say they were pretty good for my first try. And like I said, I have like pretty shaky hands, so like doing fine line work sometimes is really hard for me. So their faces are quite small. But in learning all of that stuff about Monster High, I was introduced to ball jointed dolls because some of the face-up techniques and everything are very similar, if not the same. The material is obviously different since most ball jointed dolls, like true ball jointed dolls, are going to be made out of a resin instead of that plastic material that Monster High is made out of. That squishy one. I don't know all the names for everything because I'm not like a professional. But you know what I mean? Like a Monster High doll, you can like squish. But when you have like here's a head. When you have one of these, this is a resin. So it was a little bit different. But when I got introduced to it, I kind of was just Googling things on my own and learning about it. I live in a pretty rural area, so around me, there wasn't anybody that I personally knew that had dolls. And I started joining communities on Facebook and Den of Angels, of course, which at first I couldn't get a membership. Like you can still browse and stuff without a membership, but I couldn't get a membership at first. And then I don't know why. I think back then they had it slowed down so they couldn't get as many people joining. I don't know if they were having a lot of trouble with scammers, but you had to get like an invite or you had to like send an email and they had to like verify you. It was really confusing to me as a beginner, but I tried again later and it went through easy. So I don't know if they changed the rules since when I first started getting into dolls. And that would have been back when I was at GameStop. So sometime around 2013-ish. And that's when I got my first doll. I'd gone to an anime convention with some of my pull-up dolls, which I got around the same time that I got into Monster High. And I'd taken those to a ball jointed doll convention, not really understanding the difference between one of those dolls and a ball jointed doll. But everybody was so nice to me at this convention. And they had like a little meet and greet at the anime convention. And I got to talk to a lot of people. They were really helpful. They were all really understanding of me being new. And they were able to tell me like some good beginner brands, some other good websites, some legit places to buy my stuff so I didn't get stuck with a knockoff or a scam site. I had a very brief explanation of what a recast was, and I got to see a ton of dolls. So I, after that moment, was like 100% invested in this hobby. I knew I wanted dolls. And that night I was like looking up everything that they had ever told me about so that I could see. And I picked my first doll, which was a Resin Soul Song, who is named Snow. And he is based off of one of my OCs. Sorry, I'm moving everything around and I can't sit still. He's based off of one of my OCs from D&D. So I had a D&D character named Snow, and I decided to shell him, which is what they call making a character OC into a doll. They call it shelling. So I decided I was going to shell him. And so I did. I got him in the white skin, which is like pure white, like Snow White. And I kept him for a really long time with his standard face up. I would show him right now, but I can't because I actually have him at my in-laws house in my office there. And so I can't. But he had the original face up. He usually wears like more gothy alternative clothing because I shelled him as the character that's playing the OC. So it's like him, but like the human, well, it's still the elf, but like the non-fantasy version of him. It's like him in the modern world just as an elf. But anyway, he was my first doll, and I like went crazy. Resin Soul is very affordable, and I have him on, he's an MSD, so he's like the medium-sized dolls. I think he's like 42 centimeters, and I freaking loved him like so much. I mean, I still love him. Sorry, Snow. I still love him. And so I like went crazy, and I was wanting to buy a ton of dolls. Almost all of my dolls have been bought since then secondhand. So he was new, and then I got a Dark doll that's new. I'm trying to think of any of the other dolls. I did a split for a Fairyland Real Fee, so that one was technically new, but it was a split, so it went to somebody else first. And I think that's all of my new dolls. I'm trying to like go through my head. Yeah, that's all my new ones. So I did buy another new doll, but that one was gifted to somebody. That was for a birthday present. So that one doesn't count. But almost all of my other dolls have been bought secondhand. And navigating the secondhand market at first was so scary because I didn't want to buy the wrong doll. And, you know, there's scammers. So I was trying to follow everybody that was a scammer. But I also I don't like buying them new because A, they're expensive. Like I understand this is like it's a very expensive hobby. A lot of dolls the ball jointed dolls can really range in price depending on how big of a doll you're getting and what company it comes from. So a lot of the dolls that I bought, I wanted to get secondhand because then I could afford it. And not all companies allowed layaway, but most people allow layaway, especially if they know you in the hobby. So I was really particular about buying my stuff and making sure I was buying a couple dolls a year. I've really slowed down on that. I don't really buy dolls anymore. Why did my tooth like they're shining so much? Sorry, I got distracted. But anyway, sorry. I have this really bad messed up tooth. I actually had fixed my teeth with braces, but then my dentist or my orthodontist didn't believe that I was getting my wisdom teeth in, and this was after I got my braces removed. So he didn't believe me. So my retainer didn't fit anymore, and sure enough, my wisdom teeth were growing in this way, and so it got messed up, and I've been pretty upset about it ever since. But then part of me doesn't want to fix it because when people's teeth are too perfect, it freaks me out. So I don't know if I want to change it. And B has the same messed up front tooth, so I kind of don't want to change it because we match. And then this tooth is messed up because I hit myself in the face when I was doing flags in high school, and I busted that front tooth off halfway. So half of my tooth is fake. So that's why it like doesn't look straight. It like curves up because it's not real. But anyway, sorry, that was another weird thing. So I was talking about dolls, but yeah, the price can be really crazy. So I tend to buy my dolls secondhand. And usually you can get really good discounts, especially because some people damage their dolls. And I don't care because I'm rough on my stuff. I like to play with my things, and even when they're expensive. I like to hold them. I like to touch them. I like to take them outside. And I know I've mentioned it before, but lighting makes the dolls yellow. So when the dolls are yellowing, a lot of people don't want their dolls to change color, and you can get like kind of almost tan lines on them because of like if their clothes are on, then this part might yellow faster than this part. But I don't care because I like to play with my dolls, and Giggle's a lot like me in that we just like the doll and we will just renovate it as best we can and keep playing with it. And I understand some people aren't like that. This is just me. So if you want your dolls to be in perfect condition all the time, I'm so glad for you. You paid your money and you get to play with it how you want. but I just can't be that person. I'm not going to be able to get my gloves on and take them out of the box. Like I'm too weird. That's fine. So that's why I like to get most of my dolls used, because I just don't know what I'm going to do with them or how rough I'm going to be on them. And that's okay with me. So I like to get them that way. And I've gotten some like great deals, like little fees that can be like up to $600 for a full set. I've literally gotten legit with the box and the booklet and everything, like for $150. And sometimes I've gotten like heads from also people that are selling them legit with proof, because obviously you have to check and make sure. And I've gotten like legit heads and everything for like $35 or under. Like this one I got really cheap because it was a half finished mod and they didn't like how it turned out. So I got this like really cheap just because they don't want it anymore and they're not going to work on this project. But I want this. I'll probably send it to Giggle, honestly, so that she can like shorten the ears. She's really good at modding dolls. If you guys don't follow her Instagram, most of their Instagram account is doll related. So if you're into dolls, Gigglefish 2020. I think that's what it is. I always forget the number. I just call her Giggle now. We actually, 2000. Gigglefish 2000. Why did I get 2020? Maybe that's because we started talking more in 2020. But yeah, I met Giggle through dolls. I admired her dolls for a really long time before I don't remember why I reached out to her. And we just like never stopped talking. Now we're like best friends. That's how it is, right? That's how you make friends online. But anyway, I send her some of my dolls now to get face ups. And a project that I'm working on, because I haven't really been buying dolls as much as I used to, but a project that I'm going to be working on is shelling some of my OCs from my books. And I really want to get as many faceplates as I can so I can have multiple facial expressions for them, or I can have like some of my characters have like a normal version of themselves and then they have a feral version of themselves, or like a more demonic version of themselves. So it would be cool to have multiple faceplates so I can have different facial expressions or painting or whatever. So that's a project that I'm going to be working on. But like I said, dolls are expensive. So right now I'm just focusing on 2 of the characters. And then I hope that I can just use the same bodies and then just switch them over and over and over. So I still need a couple different heads. But first, I want to show you one of my prettier dolls. I don't have a ton of time because I'm running late today. Work was really, really hard. So I wanted to talk about dolls because they're a comfort to me. But here's Besito. And she is so cute. She has this fully custom outfit made by Giggle. And it comes with these little cuffs, which might be on upside down. I keep putting them on upside down. She made me a custom little wig, and she also did the face up. The eyes, though, I think are some of the ones from Melon Pan Market. I've gotten a lot of eyes from Melon Pan Market, and I think they used to go by Lemon Jelly, but is that right? They've been going by Melon Pan Market for so long, I don't remember. I think it was Lemon Jelly though. But anyway, so Giggle made the face up, which I think looks really cute. Let's see if I can. Is she focusing? No. Come on, focus on her cute little face. Sorry, I know it's really hard. I have good pictures of her on my Instagram. You can see she's got these cute little bows. She's supposed to be like a companion to Giggle's also got one of these little Foive, I think. And hers is like Halloweeny, so I wanted a more Valentine-y one to be like a companion version. And that's where we got the idea. Well, she got the idea. I didn't do this. To put all of this little like candy and to have these cute little buns that are little cupcakes. Maybe if I move her towards this way, it's easier to see because of the dark background. You can see she sculpted all of the little hearts and stuff out of clay, and then she made these little like sprinkles. And so she made the little dress to match. I also have another like candy stripe kind of dress that she also made me. And that one, I think I have little boots that match for that. I should have pictures of that somewhere. But right now she's in her pink outfit. I haven't changed my dolls. I don't change them very frequently. I have a lot of clothes for them, and then I just pick an outfit that I really like for them, and I never change them. But yeah, this is a little fee. So these are made by Fairyland. The cool thing with Fairyland dolls is a lot of them have face plates. So if you just have one body, like I have 3 bodies, but I have like 5 or 6 face plates. So then I can use her body for the other dolls and I just change them out and change their clothes. And now it looks like I have a brand new doll, but I actually don't. I only have a couple bodies. And some of them I only have the body because, like I said, there's another one that I have, this one, and I'm not going to show you. It also has a botched body mod, but you can't see it when it's got clothes on. So I got it for a really good deal because the person botched the body mod and they, I guess, were disappointed and wanted a new one to start over. But I don't care. I'm not going to see that part of their body. So, like, sorry that your body mod's not botched, but I got such a good deal on this doll and it's legit and came with his box and everything. So, like, I don't mind. But anyway, she's one of my more complete dolls. Like I said, she's got 2 outfits that I switch her between. And then sometimes she does have to share a body with somebody else. So the faceplate would just pop off for people that don't know much about ball-jointed dolls. There's usually magnets in it. And then you would put, like I said, this one's modded, so it's all fucked up on the inside. I don't know if I can cuss. I can cuss. It's been 20 minutes. I think they say that's okay. And then you would put the little eyes in here with putty. And this one's a leash faceplate. And then, like I said, the person that had this before me was modding it. And they were changing the cheeks and stuff a little bit. And then they gave up. I think the eyes are also a little bit different. So I can't remember. I keep all my chats to make sure that if anybody tries to come and say that it's not a legit doll, it's a recast, I can like look at my chats and make sure I have it. Like proof. But anyways, this one was just highly modded. So if this one looks messed up, that's why. But I'm going to be sending this one to Giggle eventually and see what they come up with. This is going to be one of the heads of one of my Slayers from my Slayer series. I think I'm going to use this one for my shoe. Sounds funny. Shoe. Not that kind of shoe. But anyways, he is the best friend of Riven, who is the main character of the series. One of the main characters of the series. One of the 4 main characters. And he's going to have his own head eventually. His head doesn't matter as much because Riven stays masked most of the time. So I only really need a doll that, like, I could get a doll that the whole face is sanded off on, which I have looked for because if somebody messes up that bad, I bet they'd sell it pretty cheap. But if they said, I don't really need it. I need the nose to kind of be a bump, but he always wears a mask. And then I just need to make sure he has ears because he has ears piercings. But I'm kind of making like chibi-fied versions of my different characters. Speaking of, here's his main head. I'm going to use this as his main head. So Shu is based off of Rot Hollow. I did ask permission back in the day on if I could use him. He like inspired the entire series and the entire race of elves that I created. I do have a lot that I could tell you about all of that, but that's not a today story. Just know that it's based off of him. If you find Rot Hollow on Instagram, you will probably understand more, but they kind of have like a more human side and then they turn into like, they basically shapeshift into like more demonic versions of elves that are stronger. We'll leave it at that because it's, like I said, it's complicated. It's like a whole multi-story dimensional craziness. But anyway, Giggle made this shirt for me. Rot Hollow actually does have a shirt that looks like this, and she based it off of that because eventually I'm going to send this head to her and she will make it look more like a chibi-fied version of him. And I'm going to pop the head off. So it's just magnets, right? So that's why I like it because then, like I said, I just pop the other one in, which I didn't even put the magnets in because I'm lazy. I think they're probably still in the box. And this is a Chiwu head. And it's, like I said, this one's even messy inside because I always get cheap ones. But then you just are able to put that on. Sometimes this can be a little bit like not a perfect fit because I might get a head that's made in 1 year and then a body that's like really, really old. So the fit may not be as good. I also don't care about that because a lot of times once you put the wig on or if you use a little bit of like putty, you can make the head stay together. And so, like I said, again, I don't care because to me, I mean, I'm holding my doll like this and these are expensive, but I like to play with them. Sometimes I just like to hold the dolls in my hand. Fairyland resin's pretty nice. So I like playing with them. They are clicky clacky though sometimes. Which is fine. I do like that Fairyland dolls have magnets in their feet. You can see how they're kind of like clicking together, which is cool because I can set them on like metal surfaces and they stand pretty solid that way. Some of them don't. I had I have a mini fee that kind of has that issue that a lot of mini fees got, where that one leg kind of warped a little bit. It's pretty common with mini fees. That's their MSD size, their 42-ish centimeter doll. But it's not like super bad. I've seen some that were really bad, and mine also, I think, has a chip on the ankle, which was common with, I think that when I got that doll, it was common with those dolls. But I got her secondhand, and I got her specifically because she was a little bit messed up, so I got her for a really good deal. But this one isn't too bad. Like I said, it's got a botched body mod down here under the shirt, but I don't care. He's still pretty nice. He's got some kind of like messed up spots on his head. I think somebody tried to like glue something. He's like sticky, or not sticky. There's like little like raised parts. I don't know. Maybe it's probably something I could get off. But so this will be my shoe. Not shoe as in the thing you wear, but shoe as in my character, my OC. And then I have, more importantly, I put up an ISO, which is an in search of, for this doll. This is a Fairyland Louie, and this is the perfect doll to make into my other OC, which is eyelashes falling off, which is okay because I'm probably going to have his face up redone. But this was for Sylvie, who is probably one of my favorite characters. Anybody who knows me, in addition to knowing that I like dolls, also knows I have a thing for white-haired OCs. I love making white-haired OCs. And if you see a white-haired OC in my D&D sessions that I run, or anything like a story that I write, they're probably going to be important because I'm obsessed with them. I love white hair, and I love especially white long hair. But anyway, so this is going to be Sylvie eventually. He's one of my favorite characters, and I tend to reincarnate him. I think I've reincarnated him 3 times already. So I think I could, sorry, bees coming down the stairs. I think I could hear you drilling earlier. I don't know if it picked up on here. I didn't think about it since I'm in here.
I don't think so.
Okay. But anyway, yeah, so this one's going to be that, but I thought this like expression was just really good for Sylvie. Sylvie's kind of a very serious character and is kind of known for maybe looking a little bit expressionless and tired all the time, but he's actually very passionate. Yeah, he's just a good character. His reference is based off of Cold Dead Flesh, specifically on Instagram. Some of these names I'm kind of like, can I say that? But I said the F word earlier, so I'm okay. But based off of Cold Dead Flesh on Instagram, which I also messaged him before I used him as a reference for my OCs. And you can find him on Instagram, and he also looks really cool, and he's really nice. Rat Hollow is also really cool and really nice. But anyway, so that's where I got my reference for them. I specifically got references because I actually have a really hard time with imagining faces in my head. So, and I was like this as a kid. I started writing books when I was like in 3rd grade or 3rd or 4th grade. And I could never remember. So I always had to take pictures from magazines or whatever, and I would cut them out, and I'd be like, oh, this is going to be what Chris looks like, and this is going to be what Jack looks like, and this is what Emily looks like. Because otherwise, I don't remember what they look like. And then I noticed, like even back then, I noticed I was being really inconsistent with describing them. And so I was like, oh, I just always need to have a reference for my main OCs because otherwise I don't remember. And I used to keep like a spiral notebook with all my characters with their hair color, eye color, height, all of that stuff. Because otherwise I would be like, oh, in one chapter, Loki has golden eyes. And then in the next chapter, Loki has green eyes. And then in the next chapter, he has brown hair. But I totally said his hair was gold earlier. So it was very frustrating. But it was a learning curve. So now whenever I make characters, I try to find a reference photo. And if they're real people, which a lot of times they are because I'm mostly on Instagram now, I do try to, if they're people that respond to messages, I do try to like say like, hey, I want to base a character off of you, not off of you as a human, but as like I need your facial features. And with my slayers, I need highly pierced people because that specific elven race uses piercings as a sign of like accomplishment. So that's why I use a lot of heavily pierced people So if you see a lot of heavily pierced people on Instagram, it's possible they have a character based off of them in my series, because, you know, and all my characters are being used in my D&D sessions, because I basically took Pathfinder and then remade it a little bit for my world. So I'm very like loosey-goosey with rules because it's fitting my magic system and everything. And I'm basically making my group play through my history, so I don't have to write all of the backstories and side stories and history. I make a very brief idea of what I want, and then I'm having them play through it. So I actually have like real world building in the background, so I can use these stories of what they played in my main stories as, oh yeah, do you remember that time when Baird did blah blah blah, or do you remember the hero that went and saved the world in the year blah blah blah. And these are the stories I'm making my D&D crew play, which I think is really fun because sometimes things don't go exactly the way I expected. The main story is still going the way I expected, but the little side things that are happening are going to be so much more fun to add into my stories as little like quirky things that happen in their world, or like, oh yeah, I know that that city doesn't like this city because of this weird thing that happened that one time the adventurers came, and I just can't wait. So they're playing these characters now, and they're going to get through one of the original stories, and then I'm going to kind of move them around. Like I said, my whole book thing, like that could go on for like 20 years. I could talk about that forever. You can tell I'm kind of rambling autistically about special interest right now. But anyway, I want to have more of these dolls, and I would love to take them to D&D. I don't think any of my D&D people are scared of dolls. I know my father-in-law is, but I only keep a handful of dolls over there. But anyway, this is going to be him. So it's going to be Sylvie slash Cinna slash technically Will, because they're all reincarnations of the same person in different timelines or different parts of the timeline. And like I said, this one will be Shuri. I really want to get more dolls. I'll have a Riven doll eventually. I need to get heads for some of their girls. So I need heads for like Kylan slash Kimmy and Novi. I'd like to get one for Helly and Hina and too many different characters. I have another story that I already started, even though I haven't finished the other stories, and I would love to get those. But one of them's a dragon, and I haven't figured that out yet. But I just think it'd be really fun to be able to pose them and then have a physical one to see. Because like I said, I can't remember. So I screenshot pictures all the time on Instagram because people take their photos down. I say that as if I have any to tell them not. I understand, but like one person that I use as reference for the matron just wiped her entire Instagram and started on something different. And I don't think I have a lot of those old photos. And I have thought about reaching out to her like, hey, this is really weird. Maybe it's not. But can you just send me one picture that looks kind of like this? Because I was using you as a reference for this very, very important character in my story. And I don't think I screenshot anything. So I went through the other day and I was like screenshotting the heck out of everybody's profile that I use as a reference, because I'm so scared that's going to happen again. And I won't know what to do. And one person deleted their whole account one time, and I literally, it was my reference for Aaron. And I freaked out because I was like, I never took a picture of it. And thank God he randomly reactivated his account and then never posted again. So at least I was able to screenshot like one or two pictures, but I was freaking out because like I said, I can't remember very well. I don't know if that's just a me thing, or if it's more common with neurodivergent people to have trouble imagining things in their head like that. But like, even when I read, I don't feel like it's super easy for me to see faces. I see people like in my head, like as I'm imagining things, like even when I'm working on my book, but I usually don't see their faces. So like when I'm writing, I don't see the faces of the people doing stuff. So people that are references, don't be freaked out. I can't actually see. It's not like I imagine you doing something with somebody else, because I can't actually see that. It's just like if I know I have to describe that person's face, or say like, oh, they have this piercing for my slayers, I'll go and pull your picture up so I can be like, oh, they have, a wide nose, or they have this shaped eyes, or that's me typing, or they have 4 piercings on their left ear and 5 piercings on their right. And some of you guys have been taking out piercings too. Anyway, again, has nothing to do with me. I screenshot the picture that I needed. But anyway, so it makes it kind of hard. So that's what I use those pictures for, in case anybody, I don't know. I was supposed to talk about dolls, and here I am back on my book BS. But I just really like my books. I can't help it. Like I said, I've been writing since 4th grade. So I have so many books. I have a pantheon of gods. I have multi-dimensional crossover, multiple planets going on at one time. But I can't wait to write more. I have characters that are gender fluid. I have characters that are different sexualities, obviously different races because it's a fantasy world. My elves are not just white. So I'm trying to be more diverse. I'm going back to some of my older books and I'm trying to update them a little bit more. Most of my stories are happy ending love stories. Sorry, but the world is crappy and I like to read happy ending love stories. But it's not like it's just a love story. There's usually going to be some other kind of battle going on that they're trying to win. But I just like that. So sorry. I mostly write in fantasy. I do have a couple books that I write whenever I get a little bit tired of the fantasy novels. I'll like switch over and I'll write some like, modern slice of life kind of stuff. But that always feels more like Wattpad fiction to me, which is fine. Like I sometimes want to just read something like that too. So sometimes I'll write that kind of stuff just to, I don't know, it's easier, right? I don't know. I feel like I can just crank out that stuff super fast. But let me see what kind of messages I have right now. Sorry. I shared a picture of Rot Hollow, so he liked it. And then I have a comment, or a message. I haven't gone to read it. Let me see if I wonder if I can show that stuff on here. Let me try. I don't know what it's going to look like. He just shared. I'm trying to find a picture where you can see what the Slayers look like. I don't know how to like bring like stuff on my screen yet. I could probably figure that out. Oh, I figured out, but I'm not doing it. But I can share my screen. I gotta find a picture where it's not, where he looks like a Slayer, but it isn't super bloody, so I don't get everything taken down. Rot Hollow does have some pretty intense pictures, so if you can't handle that, then sorry. That sucks for you, because his pictures are really cool. I'm trying to find one where he does the teeth thing. Those aren't pointy. You didn't point them. Oh, well. Maybe I can't find it. See what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I swear. I don't think he's taken any pictures down, though. I think most of these pictures are just a little bit too bloody for me to share. Fake blood, not real blood. Don't want him to sound like too much of a weirdo. He's not doing that. But anyway, I know there's a glare, but I would take, you can't see the teeth. There's too much. He usually does pointed teeth, and then he'll do these long pointed fingers. This one isn't red. You can't see, this is obviously like an edit over here, but you can see how he makes these like pointed, sharp looking fingers. And he'll usually do the same thing with his teeth when his mouth is open. Anyway, that's how these kinds of pictures are what inspired my entire race of elves, my blood elves / Therians. And, but anyway, you can see how many piercings he has. So the more piercings in this world, that specific race you have, and the larger your gauges are, like the tougher you are as a warrior and the more respected you are as a race in your race, versus like my light elves that are more like prim and proper, and my wood elves that are more outdoorsy. Some of it's still cliche, but it's fantasy. You kind of got to fall into those cliches. But I feel like I ranted about that way more than I talked about dolls. I'll put timestamps up. I got timestamps up for a couple different ones. I feel like I'm making progress, you guys. Like, I have better lighting. My sound quality is not great. I am looking at getting a better camera at some point, because I know this one's not the best, but it's just a little webcam that you just like put on there, like an old school one, not like a new fancy like Razer one or anything. So I'm gonna get there. I have a nice mic. I haven't figured out how to use it yet, but I have one. This is nicer. I can't say it's like the nicest mic. I think I have one at my office too, because I was trying to figure out how to stream from Twitch, but I kind of realized I don't really care about Twitch, and I'd rather just put it on YouTube because it's easier for me to leave the videos up for Giggle, which is the main priority of these videos, is just to ramble, and Giggle likes to listen to them. Thanks, Giggle, you're the best. Eventually, I will, like I said, figure out videos and editing and making real videos. But right now, that's just not something I have a lot of time for. But hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. I would really like to give better breakdowns of my books. Because like I said, I love them. I really want people to read them because I feel like they're decent. I've definitely read books that I think are worse than mine, which isn't necessarily saying the other books are bad. Well, sometimes they're weird, though. Like, have you seen some of those books where it's just like, oh, I'm going to fall in love with a door? I know they're, like, kind of almost parodies, but it's also like somebody did spend time and worked on that. And that's a choice. But there's a market for it because they keep making that kind of stuff. So, like, people are buying them. And so I've read horrible, weird fan fiction. I think that's pretty normal, like, growing up online. You've probably read some really weird fan fiction. So I'm like, yeah, I can do similar. I don't necessarily think I'm going to be the next superstar writer in the entire world or anything, but I think I write a pretty solid story. I think I got a pretty good imagination. I think my world building is pretty decent. And like I said, I'm trying to really put some characters that have a little bit more diversity in it. In my books, this has nothing to do with the characters they're referenced on. Keep in mind, in my books, Shu is actually Ace. Just in case you cared. Shu is Ace. In my books, this guy, Sylvie, and all of his incarnations, they're technically demisexual. Did you know that? You wouldn't know that because they don't, like, outwardly say it, but they are. Kimmy / Kylan, they're technically pan. So, like, I'm trying to make sure that I have stuff. I have a character that technically is a half demon, and they can shapeshift a little bit. Well, I'll say they're not stuck with one specific gender. Most of my demons aren't. So they can change parts at will. So most of them are whatever they feel like being. So I'm trying to make sure my characters are all a little bit... What are you doing? Sorry, B walked by making funny faces at me to make me laugh. He's got a moon pie, though. I'm a little jealous. No, I don't need to eat one. Thank you, though. But anyway, so we'll see. But I have a lot of characters, and I have a lot of side characters. So sometimes I'll have people be like, I want a character after me. And I'll be like, cool, I have like 40 side characters I need to fill. So, but then I become attached to them, and they become really popular. Somebody did that to me. And now I like don't know what to do because I want their character to do more stuff. But I like, because I made it, now I'm like, this character is actually kind of cool because I had to give them more personality and a little bit more of a scene so I could describe them more, so I can be like, yeah, that's you. And now I'm kind of like, I need to put that character in more because he wound up being really fun to write. But yeah, I don't really remember where I was going with that. Sorry, the last little timestamp is probably going to be like random rambles about books that have nothing to do with dolls. So, because I'm putting this on my doll playlist, I guess I'm gonna have to say doll / writing playlist. But anyway, I don't have a ton else to say today. I feel like I was fairly productive and on target for what I meant to talk about. So I guess that's good. And apart from kind of looking crazy because it was a rough day at work, I feel like it was good, right? It was fine. I'll be better. Maybe I'll stream from like other places one day. I don't want to do like live streaming and be annoying like the people that just like walk around and bump into people and everything, but I think it would be cool to stream from other locations. I go to cons and stuff sometimes. Maybe I'll stream from there for something, but sometimes they get loud. You see how crazy my hair is? I'm going to show it to you. It's the end of the stream anyway. Most people have left, right? Look at this. Look at these devil horns. I think sometimes Dory and Electra actually like will style them that way. Mine are all natural, baby, because my hair's actually curly, but I don't take care of it. And I straighten it a lot. So my hair winds up looking like an absolute crazy person. We'll make it all the way crazy. Like I said, it's the end of the stream. And I'm about to go because I have to get ready to go over. But see how it's all gross right now. It was so hot today when I went back into the warehouse to work on stuff. I don't usually go back there, but do you see this? I should wash it, but I'm trying to... It gets very dry, so I'm trying to take better care of it. But it is just... Today was just too much for it. It's just too much for my poor little hair. Anyway, oh, and this is my Gengar shirt. This Gengar shirt is from Giggle. And I think she got it from Hot Topic. And this is my Gengar Build-A-Bear. My kid put this shirt on it. This was an old shirt that he had. This is my Gengar Build-A-Bear. Giggle also got me this, I'm pretty sure, for my birthday. He's very big and chubby, and I love him. But she also got me a Gengar Squishmallow, and that one I sleep with. Because it's like the perfect like small size for me to do this, because I like to do this with my hands when I sleep. It's the tism, I guess. Anyway, I rambled enough. So I'm going to go ahead and go so I can put my little timestamps up and leave this video up so that whoever winds up watching it can watch this. I'm so sorry if this is not super interesting to you. I'm hoping one day I'll start getting people actually being live in the chat while I'm live in real life. But I know I need to do better about scheduling my lives so people can actually know that it's coming. So I'm going to get better at that too. Like, I have time. I'm just going to keep going. We're just going to learn as we go together, like as a team, teamwork together. And I have nothing else to say on that note. I forgot to say hi, Giggle, but I will say bye, Giggle. Love you.